you have to think of it at every step. It becomes a burden, but gradually you increase that, and then you become aware of it. Okay, I'm liking this. What is, why am I liking? When you go into the depths of it, at every step you can change yourself. At that point, change in the sense, understand it, why it's happening.
True. If you can go to the higher level, it becomes a lot easier, no doubt. If somebody can start seeing oneness, likes and dislike will drop like anything,
But to get to that oneness, at least you have to have that, the clarity, or see, because you have to see at every point what's happening. Why you are thinking that way. It's not, and make a judgment for yourself, or decide for yourself. But unless we go to the depth of that for each thought that is happening in us, just by saying it's, even ignorance, or I'm not supposed to like and dislike, but why am I not liking it? This thing, what difference is it making? Once you get to that, what is it making any difference? If I don't like it, I don't have to have it. Okay, leave it alone. To me, it's like, okay, calming the mind at that point.
See, even though I didn't want to go too much in chapter 3, but I think now that we're having a discussion, what he will explain that likes and dislike, they suddenly come to you. Like a roadside robber, he calls it. So it catches your mind when you don't even know it has caught your mind, okay? And then if you dwell on it too much, it goes deeper into your psyche, and it goes to the mind level, the emotion level, and then you give it hate and love. So it turns into hate and love. Now the intensity has gone higher, okay? From there, it goes to your intellect, it says. Intellect में जब चला जाता है ना, that is the most dangerous place, because you justify your likes and dislikes. You will say, this is right and I'm going to do it this way. When your justification happen, finished. You have no chance of getting over it. So from our perspective, because we had too much vasanas, we have too much likes and dislikes, he's telling you the path. That's why that sense control is so important, that putting guards on your senses, because I'm not mature yet. अगर किसी को ये पता चल गया कि there is oneness, उसको तो bother ही नहीं होएगा. He likes and dislikes होती नहीं है उनको. That's why you see all these saints and sages, they don't have any likes and dislikes. Whatever you give them, they will eat. Whatever people come, they never say, don't come to my satsang or anything. Other people make rules. A saint will never say, कोई डाकू भी आ जाएगा बोलेगा, come sit with me. You know what I'm saying? So you have to catch it from both sides. And the reason they are giving all this scientific thing for our purposes, because we are not there yet. If we can start thinking of oneness, we don't need any other method. True. But if we are not there, then these other methods are also given. Because Bhagavad Gita is for everybody.
Yeah. The simple thing, to me is like, I don't eat meat, but others eat. Even if we go shopping, it doesn't bother me if it's
very good. That's a very good point. I like that.
If anybody's eating, doesn't bother me.
Yes.
Why? Because it's their liking and doesn't bother me at that point. So if I take it like that, things are happening, that means the mind itself doesn't think, it doesn't go through that likes and dislikes anymore.
Yeah.
So if I can take it that way, some of the things, okay, why is he doing this thing? Why is it happening? Leave it for them. The way they're thinking is for them, not for me. So at that point, I can keep quiet, at least for the time being. I can have peace for myself. If I see something going wrong and I cannot change it, then let it,
Yeah, that's what that Gita ji said, no? That prayer is the most beautiful one, that you should know what you can change. And, there are some situation, some people, if they have a health problem or something and something better and they come to you to ask, you can tell them. Maybe,
sure.
Meat is not healthy. But if just everyday thing, if you were in their shoe and you were born in that family, you would be doing exactly the same thing. People forget that.
Yeah.
All of a sudden they think this is good, this is bad, everybody should do that. Hey, but what is his journey? And there are plenty of people who eat meat and they are good hearted people, and plenty of vegetarians who are like pretty mean. So just eating meat or not eating meat is nothing to do with
No,
spiritual
it was
thing.
just an example.
Right,
It
right.
was
But I'm just saying that even
Yeah.
from any angle you see spiritually, it should not bother you. That's what I'm saying.
There is one state which is a little bit higher than this, is if you can disconnect and observe your body,
Yeah.
then you are not doing anything. Like my wife says, you become Makatarian. But really you are disconnected from your body. So your body, because your body consists of 3 gunas, Sattvic, Rajasic, Tamasic. They are in different ratios. And all we are doing here is change those ratios towards Sattvic. I mean,
Yes.
at least that's the way I look at Gita.
No, true.
And I don't know how much change you can do in your lifetime, because it is a combination of cumulative lifetimes, thousands of them. So it's all combined. So there's some change can happen. But a stage will come automatically. Either it comes through cumulative lifetime of changes or God's grace or whatever you can call it. When you disconnect from your body, but you can observe it. And also, you do not get affected by anything you do.
Yes, if somebody can do that, then they got it made.
And that is, and one above that is, you lose your body, then you don't even exist.
You
So
exist
there's a
eternally instead of saying your body doesn't exist.
No, I mean, yeah. I
You-
mean,
you are talking-
you're not aware. It's like that Jill Bolt Taylor. She didn't know she was there when she was sick.
Okay, Kamala ji has something to say.
Yeah.
I'm going to Jagdish ji again. He's not talking about that high level. He's talking about how to control simple mind. Simple. It's like, when we want to get up early in the morning, 4 o'clock, and the mind says, no, it's so cozy, just to go to sleep again. And that happens so many times. But then you have to, no, I have to get up. And you control, you become the master that time. That's how you learn to control your mind little by little. When you feel like you are diabetic and you see gulab jamun and you can't control, that's it means the mind is becoming your master. So you have to remind yourself that no, you are the master and you have to decide. So knowing doesn't help unless you learn little bit of self-control, and it goes slowly and slowly. Even your likes and dislikes, you can control those only when you have control over the mind. So you need to have this simple understanding that mind is just a servant for you and you are the master. And learn to control it little by little every day.
I think everybody has got a good point here. So we take everything together and then we see where you want to pick up your sadhana, and that is perfectly fine. And what you said, Kamala ji, about 20 years ago, my yoga teacher, when I started learning yoga, and I had the same problem that, I can't get up in the morning. She's only one thing she told me. She said, do you want to be a slave or a master? So I said, who doesn't like to be a master? She said, then tell your mind, if I sleep in bed, that is slave. If I get up, I'm a master. And from that day, I never had a problem. So those small tips also help a lot. And what Joe is saying is, he's going to the highest level because he's been there. So everybody is right. There's nothing wrong in all the approaches, and that's why Bhagavad Gita.
I believe that anything that goes without effort is meant for you at this instant of time. Anything that takes a lot of effort for you and it's against your brain, that is not the right way to go. So your heart will tell you, and sincerely it will tell you, not because you enjoy this or not enjoy this. And it will be like knife through butter when this happens.
Yeah, we all are waiting for that night, Sahaj mein sab ho jaye, hum ho jaye. Very good. Chalo, let's go for that.
But it doesn't last forever, but it happens.
No, we want it to last forever. And you know what? Bhagavad Gita is telling us, Baba, that it is the Sathita Pragna, okay? Yeah.
Your legs hurt, everything hurts.
No, but the body is hurting, but you can rise above it, right?
I know, only if you have disconnected the body.
Yes, you are only talking about disconnect right now.
No, but that disconnect is a stage.
But that happens to exceptional people, and you are the exception.
No, it's not that. I went through 6 years of that, but I'm back to normal now. So my body hurts.
I thought
And
you were up.
only I can think of those days, but that's it.
What is Sushili saying?
I said, I thought you were always normal.
Hey, according to Bhagavad Gita, we all are normal, okay? We just have a little bit of this layer that we gotta hatao, and then we will become self-realized too. So we have to see, Bhagwan is going to say later on in a later chapter, he said it's such a simple thing. This is all you have to do. So he encourages a lot, so we have to just hold on to that thing, because if we start thinking, oh, it's too difficult, oh, my body hurts, then we are going to have a problem. But just if it's the body is such a temporary thing.
There are only 20 people in this class. There are millions of people out there, right?
And
so their time has come. That's why they're learning this.
yeah, I mean, right now there are, what I see is an explosion of all these things. And I told you that even the universities are dwelling into it. And some of them are slowly finding out that whatever question they are asking and the answers they are little bit getting, our Vedanta is already done, detailed, 100 times more than where they are. So some of them are finally connecting to it now, because the knowledge is given to, and the Bhagavad Gita is the sar of everything. So whatever you're looking for is here anyway. You don't even have to have like a $10 million grant to do this.
The lecture I sent you from Sir Priyananda, he talked in the beginning that some people can experience it, and some of us are trying to do it theoretically through Vedanta and learn it and improve ourselves. So it depends where the cumulative lifetime of whatever you can call it falls, and that's what makes the difference.
The fact that we are sitting here together, so that's what our cumulative thing is, right?
Right. Yeah,
Right. So
that's what I was saying.
let's move forward. Did you read the last part already? You did, right?
Yes, just one line is left. What will happen when peace is attained?
Okay.
Listen.
Okay, so basically, the points over here are the self-controlled man moving among objects with his sense under restraint, free from attraction and repulsion, attains peace. So our takeaway should be, if I make an effort to rise above, and again I'm saying, not get rid of likes and dislikes, that cannot happen until we are in this body. So remember these words, rise above them. Okay, so don't say that, I'm going to get rid of it. That's not going to happen. But when you don't give it importance, when you don't give it so much, I must do this and all, when you rise above it, you will get peace. Now he's going to talk about what is this peace going to do for me. Because Arjun is a soldier, okay? He wants to know the facts. He wants to know from the worldly perspective, अच्छा मुझे peace मिल गई तो क्या होगा, okay? कौन सा तीर मारा जाएगा? That's what he's going to know. He's asking now. So the answer to that is here. Everybody at 65. Prasade sarva dukkhanam. Prasade sarva dukkhanam. Hanirsyopajaayate. Hanirsyopajaayate. Prasanna chetaso hyashu. Prasanna chetaso hyashu. Buddhi paryavathishtate. Buddhi paryavathishtate. So prasade is peace. So now we have a new definition of prasad. Okay. Sarva dukkhanam, all pains. Hani, destruction. Asya, of him. Upajayate, arises. Prasanna chetasaha, of the tranquil minded. He, because. Ashu, soon. Buddhi, intellect or reasoning. Paryavastite, becomes steady. So somebody just read, who wants to read just next one? Right now just read the English translation, and then we will go a little discussion, and then we will go see what Swamiji is saying. Anil ji, you want to read?
In that peace, all pains are destroyed. For the intellect of the tranquil mind, it soon becomes steady.
So several things he said. Firstly, he said once that prasad comes in our mind, all the sorrows get destroyed. And when he's talking about all sorrows, we have discussed that there were three different kind of sorrows: adi devik, adi bhautik, adhyatmic. Remember, the one that is come from the surrounding, one is coming from devas, and the one is my own mind and body. Body bhi aa jata hai usme. Body is creating all this old age and whatever we are talking about. He's actually saying, if that peace comes to you through all that sadhana, all sorrows will get destroyed, not just one or two. So, this statement, I like it very much, that there was, in the beginning when we are thinking, we always think that agar ye fix ho jayega na, my life will be very happy. We have gone through those stages, right? If I can only get this, you see a very young person, if I only get the job, if I only go to that college, when then he goes to college, he has another problem. So then one of the Swamis said, don't think that by going on this path, tumhare sare dukh chale jayenge, okay? It's not going to happen. What will happen is you will not become dukhi with the dukh. I thought that was a very powerful thing, that I have all this problem, but you know what, I'm dancing to a different tune. Hai to hai. Like even old age and all that, we are kind of pretty much in there. Here maybe 10, 15 years of up and down, but we all are there. And there are a lot of things, but if we just sit and dwell on it, it doesn't do any good to us. But if we say, okay, this is a part of the body, I'm not the body anyway. The moment I start thinking like that, I can handle it a lot more. And there are plenty of accounts out there, people who got some horrible disease or sometimes somebody got a heart attack and got over it, and he said, if I look retrospect, that heart attack made me a very spiritual person. I don't know if you have heard of all those kind of stories. I have heard that. Or some people, even if they have the cancer and they're going through treatment, they look so much at peace. And other people, एक छोटा सा कांटा भी लग जाएगा तो वो पूरे घर को सर पे उठा लेते हैं, So we have observed those kind of phenomena, and and one time this Sarva Priyanandji, he said that it was very interesting observation. He said there was a Swami, a very, very old one. He was like 100 years old or something. And he said he had lot of health problem. So किसी ने उनको पूछा, oh, how you're doing Swami ji, अपने बंगाली में. तो उन्होंने ना पूरा डिस्क्रिप्शन दिया अपनी बॉडी का कि उसमें क्या क्या पेन हो रहा है. तो बोलते हैं, but I am very happy. So मतलब he's separating that. He's saying, yeah, my body is feeling the pain, and it's not like they don't feel the pain, but their other joy is so deep that they can handle it very easily.
I met that Swami. He's in Trabuco. He's 92-year-old, and he walks. Well, he used to walk, but he fell down, so he cannot walk anymore. But he used to walk at a hill every time we go. We used to see him walking on a hill with a walker. So he in fact came to give a talk here in Vedanta also.
Yes. So I think that I have heard even about Swami Chinmayananda that towards the end, he had a pretty bad physical problems. He had, heart problems and this and that. But he still gave lectures on Gita. And he would have an oxygen mask, and they will remove the mask. And when he goes on the stage and talks, nobody will ever know that any problem is happening. And then after the whole thing was over, again, he will his body goes. So suddenly he would get this spiritual energy, and he could, do everything. So we have seen this phenomena. And the other side of, destruction of sorrow, one point I wanted to make, that sometimes, sometimes we remember some old things, okay? Somebody did something and blah, blah, blah and all that. And people start getting so upset about it and all that. But what one of the Swamiji explained, that once this prasad comes in our mind, that peace and all because of that sadhana, even those things are not going to bother you. You will remember them. Your memory is not gone, okay? It's not like you have become like some kind of stone or something. No. You remember everything, but it doesn't bother you at all. And other people sometimes say, Why it's not bothering you? I don't know. I'm just happy. I don't care. You know? So that's what is going to happen. That basically you know everything. You know it was hurtful and all that, but it doesn't bother you anymore. That's some more close to our understanding. What will happen with that peace? You know? And when your mind is not on all those things, automatically it will be at the higher self. Or you can look at it other way. If you have connected to the higher, these things are at a much lower level. And that's why it doesn't bother you. दुनिया में ऐसा होता ही रहता है. Who cares? And then people change also. So many other ways of looking at it. So when he's talking about that sarva dukkha nam hani, meaning destruction of, that's what we need to remember, you know. What does it mean? And then the intellect becomes steady. This is what the description of Sthita Prajna is. Remember? The steady wisdom. That he's established in that higher, and whatever Joe is talking about, he's established in that so much that he doesn't even relate to it. And you can look at it as the dream world versus the waking world. In dream world, whatever happens, no matter what happens, we don't care about it. You know, because we say, oh, it was a dream. It doesn't bother me. So these people have risen above this, and they are looking at this as, you know, play, Leela. That's why they have that word. Ramayana mein wo word बहुत famous hai. Ram Leela. You know, he's just doing. It's not that Ram Bhagwan knew everything, but he had taken the human form. So he wants to act like a human. So that's why I call it Leela, just to teach us. Otherwise, वो किसी ने बोला कि अगर उसको रावण को मारना होता ना तो एक छड़ा हार्ट अटैक दे देता, boom, Ravan is gone. No, that's not why he did it. Because he wanted to teach us, you know, how to be ideal husband or whatever, brother and king and all that. That's why he did all that Leela. There's so many ways of looking at it. So with that,
listening to all of you,
sorry.
when I say that happiness is just a state of mind when nothing bother you,
True. We are just trying to get to that state of mind. That's all it is. Everybody wants it. In fact, किसी ने बोला कि every living being, whether it's an ant or a human being, all want happiness, right? But in our mistaken way of thinking, we think happiness lies in the world. But what they are saying is that is whatever you experience in the world, that is also consciousness ka happiness, but it's a very small trickle of it. So he's saying that why are you going after this small trickle when you're a whole Ganga there for you to go and get it? So he's saying connect to the consciousness, happiness ka wo flood aa jayega tumhare upar. And you know, I mean, these NDE people who have gone on the other side and come back, they describe that. And every time everybody says, I have no words to describe how I felt. It was like wave of happiness, wave of unconditional love. I mean, when you just hear them, you feel like, you know, goosebumps all over you that, you know, these are people who are actually experienced it now. You know, and when they come back in this body, then they realize that they totally feel bound. And, you know, if it's up to them, they don't want to come back, but they have come back for a purpose. You know, to help others or to raise their own vibration or to get over some negativity and all that. So then they look at this world as just like a Leela only. Exactly like, okay, I have to do all these things, but you know what? My home is different. This is not my home. This is a temporary school, they call it. Earth school that I have just been. And in there also they said that the time doesn't exist. The linear time doesn't exist here. They know everything, past, present, future all together. And this linear time, we bound ourselves in this linear time. But then they say, this is not my home, so why do I bother? You know, I do the best I can. I be kind, I be loving. Anybody can do anything, you know, but that's my purpose, is to raise my vibration with the love. That's what these people, they are not Hindus, they are all different religions and all, but their conclusions are the same. I found that very valuable because it validates everything that we are learning, you know. So that's where happiness is. Okay, let's go.
Another example, like happiness is we are in this class. Now, when we go out, we should carry the same happiness every time.
Yeah, that's what this is meant for. Even meditation is the same way. Yeah. Okay, Anilji. Yeah, please do.
It is natural for an Arjun mentality of uncompromising intellectualism to ask Krishna, then what? As an answer, the Lord explains why he should develop and maintain tranquility of the mind within himself. In tranquility, all sorrows are destroyed. This sentence is obviously commented upon as a definition of happiness. A peaceful mind is the significance of happiness. Peace is happiness. Happiness is peace. The least agitated mind is a proof against all sorrows, as much as sorrow is nothing but a state of agitation in the mind.
So here Swamiji is explaining it from another angle. He's saying that anytime your mind is agitated, you are not happy and peaceful. And we know that, right? तभी बोलते हैं कि कोई पीसफुल हो ना, कुछ चाहिए तो जाके वो टाइम पे मांगो उससे, वो तुरंत दे देगा तुमको. Guy is educated, he will say भाग जाए यहाँ से. We experience that, right? That's why the children wait. When the mom is in a good mood, let me ask her, then she'll give everything. So we experience those things in the world also. Yeah.
This explanation does not satisfy us completely, since Krishna's assertion is that sorrows will be destroyed. In order to bring out clearly the meaning that is implied in the phrase destruction of sorrows, we will have to understand it as the elimination of vasanas. Earlier on in the introduction, we have said that the vasana granulations, upon giving a thick coating to the subjective mind, are the cause for its delusion, which creates all sorrows for the imperfect ones, while the perfect one transcends the vasanas through the buddhi yoga, as explained earlier.
So he's taken a different angle, but it's exactly same thing. Vasanas are those impressions, and then impressions are the one that cause like and dislike. So अगर हम बोले ना likes and dislike कहाँ से आ रहे हैं हमारे पास, they are coming because of our previous life. That's why we have all these different likes and dislikes, because if all of us have the same genes and we eat the same food in childhood and live in the same house, why do we have different likes and dislikes? Because we come from somewhere else. Each one has a different journey, and we brought us with us all those sanskaras that has caused. But if we stay in that mode only, then we will pile up more likes and dislikes on it. Then we cannot rise above. That's why he's telling you that when you rise above likes and dislikes, you lose its power and you don't accumulate new ones. And then it becomes, your mind becomes more and more peaceful and happy. So just to be kind to ourselves, that's what the path is, the rising above likes and dislikes. The next paragraph is very important.
It is very well known that all vasanas existing within an individual who is facing life constantly cannot be fully eradicated by him. The secret of doing so has been explained here by the Lord. Keeping the mind exposed to an atmosphere of tranquility, prasada, consciously brought about through an intelligent life of self-control, is the secret whereby all vasanas can be eliminated.
So he's kind of repeating the whole path again and again, because I think last time, Kamlaji, you had asked that question, how do we do this? So the path is given, but हम लोग को ना थोड़ा fast चाहिए हमेशा. We don't want to do these things. He's telling you what to do. The secret is, mind exposed to the atmosphere of tranquility, consciously brought about, intelligent life of self-control is a secret where all vasanas get themselves eliminated. Because if now I know something better, that's why I want to give up this. Because you have to hang on to something higher. Because agar without hanging on to the higher, if we try to control, kabhi control mein nahi hoega. And I think another example is, even I think this very simple one was given by Swamiji, that if you take a single person and he gets a job and boss ne zara sa bhi kuch bol diya, to wo bolega, I'm going to quit my job. But if somebody who has a responsibility, who has 2 children and all that, boss ki gaaliyan bhi khake wo rahega, because he has a higher purpose. He will rise above his likes and dislikes very quickly. So the moment you go a little higher and higher, then lower drops off. Then it becomes like what Joe is saying, sahaj. Then I'm not just constantly trying to control, because I'll get exhausted in controlling it. I will be, so Joe is right from that perspective, that you have to go higher, the lower gets dropped off. Okay, the
Now,
last.
in this last line of this para, where he says, whereby all vasanas can be eliminated, does it also mean that all vasanas of all your previous lives
100%. They
can
get
be
roasted.
eliminated in that time?
Yes. So on one hand, we can start thinking, oh, I don't know, I need how many lives and what I have done and my sanskara. But Krishna Bhagavan is very clearly saying every human birth is a chance to roast your vasanas. And we talked about it. It's not they get eliminated, they get roasted. What roasted means, it is not going to sprout. It may be there, but it doesn't sprout. And that's why when we were talking about sense control, if you do sense control just for a year something and then go back to it, it has no meaning after a while. It should get roasted. कि मेरे को वो उसमें हो ही ना. If I'm going back, that means रस रह गया है उसमें. Then again I have a problem.
That's exactly what it was saying, that if you do not totally, जब तक उसकी आप भस्म नहीं बनाएंगे, रोस्ट नहीं करेंगे, it can sprout back anytime.
Yes. And
it can take you all the way down.
And that's why he said, no, that seeing the higher, uska bhasma ban jati hai. And what Meena ji was saying, that if you have become in that oneness, हो जाएगा तो फिर वो बाकी सब फालतू लगने लगता है ना. Like I'm telling you about these NDE people, near death experience जिनको हुआ है, when they come back, उनको कोई भी चीज गलत नहीं दिखाई देती है. They said, you know what, everything is the way it's supposed to be. I mean, their drishti, it's not that easy, but they have to remember that realm. Many times they said they come back and then they get swayed into the world and all. Every time they remember that world, they say, my God, ये तो सब सही है, जो भी कुछ हो रहा है. It is a purpose. There is a reason behind it and everything is in perfection. But I just don't have a drishti to see it. And I have to give you this example because I love this example. So it seems that there was a grandma who, India में वो ऐसे कढ़ाई करते हैं. Everybody knows that, right? Stitching they do is they make some beautiful scenery. तो वो एक grandma बैठी थी and she was doing the कढ़ाई, and the little girl was sitting on the chair. Little girl was sitting on the floor. So when she saw that कढ़ाई from underneath, she said, Grandma, what are you making? This looks so crazy. There's nothing, no pattern in it. Oh, she said, come, sit in my lap. I'll show you. And then when she sat on the grandma's lap and she saw from above, it was a beautiful scenery. Like sun was setting or whatever scenery she was doing, flowers and all that. So we are like those children sitting underneath and constantly complaining. Oh my God, what is happening, blah, blah. And Bhagwan is saying, come and sit in my lap. It's all harmony. I thought this was an example. It really struck in my head. So that's what he's talking about over here, Okay. Did you finish reading the last one?
This interpretation of ours has been very well supported by the second line of the verse, wherein Krishna says that in tranquil mind, the intellect soon gets established in firmness. A purified mind guarantees a sharpened, single-pointed, substantialized intellect.
So that's exactly what, remember we've talked about that purified mind is a vehicle to attain the highest. And like Joe was talking about, that we are made up of tamasic, rajasic and sattvic. The reason we want to be in sattvic, it's like a airport where the flight can take off. That was a very good example, that if I want to go somewhere in a plane, I cannot go from my house. I have to go to the airport and have a runway. So that purified mind becomes like a runway, and then you keep purifying your mind. When the grace of God comes, you experience it. That's what the saint and sages say. So I cannot be in a hurry. And the other way of looking at it is my finite self is trying to get that infinite. I don't even deserve it. So I just have to make myself, worthy of it. And our Acharya used to give this example, that there is one child which is trying very hard at something. And when he tries very, very, very hard, then parents come and help him and get it for him. So when Bhagwan will see that we are trying, then he will have that grace and then he will give it to us. You know?
That's the answer of my thing. That's what I emphasize on intensifying the efforts, because otherwise it may take many lives. So unless we intensify our efforts, unless we use our willpower to intensify our efforts in that direction, time will fly.
See, this is the problem that when you say intensify, sometimes we can, now it's coming in Mandukya actually. Maybe we have only 10 minutes. The next verse in Mandukya actually gives the path. What you should be focusing on, what you should be avoiding. Because what he says in that verse, that very simple common sense we give up in spiritual life. And intensity, maybe we catch the wrong things. You know, that's what he's cautioning you again. Because if you are, and the other thing they keep saying is in the end, no karma, no gyan, no nothing takes you over there. It's dropping everything takes you over there. But we cannot drop until we reach that point. So it's a very contradictory statement. You cannot understand it that easily. But if you continue, then it happens. So end में सब कुछ छोड़ना पड़ेगा. And you have to surrender. Yeah.
But also intensifying is part of your nature. Somebody may be layback, and they can also achieve the same thing by disconnecting.
Very good point.
I think it's all part of nature, how you make the effort.
No, but by disconnecting also, it's a kind of effort. You are making effort for disconnection.
No, some people, they have to and some don't.
Intensify the efforts like just by doing, by dropping also. But you have to choose the direction to drop your action, to drop your likes and dislikes.
No, but it will come, I think, in the next chapter when you have karma and vikarma. So when you go into vikarma mode, it happens automatically. You don't do it. It's like you fall asleep. You don't make an effort to sleep.
But what do you do for sleeping? Okay, that's a good point. But let's think about it. Can I sleep standing up? Can I sleep when there is a bright light? Can I sleep when there is too much noise? So what I'm doing, I'm preparing myself. That's all meditation is. That okay, I have made the room dark. And then किसी ने बोला कि हम लोग को लगता है कि हम लोग को वैराग्य नहीं है. सभी को आता है वैराग्य करना, because you cannot sleep without a vairagya. You have to drop everything to sleep. No matter how much pain you have, or how much fighting you have done with somebody, you have to drop everything, then you sleep. So I think that what both of you are saying, it's like a synthesis of it. Okay, you need effort, but all they caution you again and again is do the effort in the right place, right time. Shastras are the guide. It's like somebody has already gone on that path and you have to follow it. If I don't have a map and I'm trying in a new city, I'm trying to go to an airport without asking anybody, without map, I could be going there 12 hours going here and there. But somebody hands me the map, okay, avoid this traffic, do this way, do that, I can reach in half an hour. So I think this is what Shastras are. That's how it's described, that it is somebody's already done it and now they're showing you the path, So if you want to really progress, you got to follow this. And जो अपना माइंड में गलत धारणाएं हमने बना रखी है वो छोड़नी पड़ेगी हमें फिर, because here is an experienced person talking, that will help us,
So there was an earlier question raised, how do we control the mind, right? To dharna and vagara. And so to that, Bhagavan replies in the 6th chapter, because Arjuna asks exactly the same question, right? Mm-hmm. That I deem the mind to be as difficult to control as the wind.
Winds, yes.
And so Krishna says, well, two ways are necessary. You have to develop vairagya, and you have to do it and abhyas constantly, in the sense that don't give up. Keep practicing. Your mind will run away from you. Bring it back. And the more you practice it calmly without, criticizing yourself, you will get better and better at controlling your mind.
Excellent. Yes, that's a very powerful one. Okay, so shall we go to a lot of things to think about? Okay, let's do the prayer. Om Bhadram Karne Bhishaniyam Devaha भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गे सुष्ठुवागं सस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धशवाः स्वस्ति न पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्ताक्षर्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति न बृहस्पतिर्ददातु ओम शांति 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 हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम नारायणं पद्भुवं वसिष्ठं शक्तिं च तत्पुत्रपराशरं च व्यासं शुकं गौडपदं महान्तं गोविन्दयोगीन्द्रमथास्य शिष्यं श्रीशङ्कराचार्यमथास्य पद्मपादं च हस्तामलकं च शिष्यं तं त्रोटकं वार्तिककार्यमन्यान् अस्मद्गुरून् सन्ततमानतोऽस्मि अस्मद्गुरून् सन्ततमानतोऽस्मि. So we are at 90. And the previous one, he talked about the threefold knowables and 3 stages of waking, dream, and sleep. That U and Ma sadhana you do, and then you glide into the last stage. You understand all of them and all that, and then in the end you realize that the turiya is the one which gives power to all of them. And that's exactly what consciousness is, that we were talking about consciousness.
What is Turiya?
Turiya is that stage substratum, or consciousness, God, truth, whatever you want to call it. In Mandukya or in some of the Upanishads, they call that Turiya. So Turiya is the one which is separate from these 3 states, but it is underlying all 3 of them: waking, dream, and deep sleep. Because the Mandukya Upanishad, the way it approaches this problem is, it doesn't tell you, oh, who God is and nothing like that. It tells you, hey, everyday experience, 24 hours, what experience do you have? I have a waking experience where I wake up and transact with the world. Then I go to sleep. In my sleep, I have 2 different experiences. One is I dream. And then the third one is, deep sleep. And these 3 are literally compartmentalized, means when I'm awake, I cannot be dreaming. When I'm dreaming, I cannot be deep sleep. But all he's saying is these 3 experiences are there in our life, but there is a 4th state which gives power to these 3. Without the 4th one, we have nothing. Okay?
So can we call self-realization as the Turiya state?
Yes. So when you say samadhi, when you are in that samadhi, you are in the Turiya state. Turiya state is what Joe was describing, that you are separate from everything else, but you are still experiencing and nothing is bothering you because it's a passing thing. Just think of the cloud and the sky. Sky is always there, clouds pass. So these 3 states are like those.
It's interesting that there's no mention of the word Turiya in the Gita.
Because Gita it has taken from all the Upanishads, and some of them have, Turiya is, actually Turiya, the Sanskrit translation of Turiya is 4th. But it doesn't mean that it's a separate state. You have to kind of read the whole Karika to understand what exactly Turiya state is. But it's the same as that substratum, when we call it, or consciousness. Is Turiya.
Mamaji, what is the difference between Samadhi and Turiya?
There's no difference.
It's same state.
Same state. Samadhi, the literal translation of Samadhi means Samabuddhi. Samabuddhi was Siddha Prajna. Nothing bothers him.
Yeah.
It's not, and it's not a Samadhi. Like when we go to sleep now, they say we have gone into that state, but we experience nothing. But jo Samadhi mein, you separate yourself from body and mind and all that, but you're still awake.
Yes.
That's the difference, they say. All the saints and sages. And then we discussed it, that if somebody has become self-realized, they're in Samadhi 24/7. They never forget that the oneness. Other people, okay, little bit, I'm here in Samadhi for a while, then I go back in the world and I forget about that. So then that's a problem.
Once you are in Samadhi, there is no going back ever.
Yeah, and the example given is that suppose once you learn a language, can you be illiterate again of that language? No. So once किसी ने वो establish हो गया ना, फिर वो बुद्धू नहीं बन सकता वापस. That's what example.
But you still have to practice to keep it up to that level. Even if you become self-realized, you still continue to do meditation to keep your level there.
Well, technically speaking, the one who has become self-realized, he doesn't need to do absolutely anything. The only reason he does it because of compassion for others. He doesn't have to do a particular action. The reason he does वो सहज में चला जाता है, because it's like हम लोग का क्या problem है, when we are working and all that, our mind is working, and then when I'm not working, my mind is still working, but his mind is like a tool. So job is done, now he'll automatically go in samadhi. He doesn't need to run around. He will sit. That's why you see Shankar Bhagwan. Whoever has seen the Devo Ke Dev Mahadev will see every time he's sitting in the samadhi, somebody comes, oh Shankar Bhagwan, then he opens his eyes and talks. Again he goes back in samadhi. So what
But
you're
even
saying,
Ramakrishna said that he wasn't doing any more puja after a while.
they don't need to.
Yeah,
But if they want
he
to, they
said-
can, because they find joy in it. It's there in the body still, right? Body has certain, we enjoy certain things. They enjoy doing puja, but they don't have to. If you have already, it's like I already got the entire world, then why do I go after small things here and there?